First contact. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Horizon, her eyes fixed on the swirling blue-green planet that filled the view screen. After years of faster-than-light travel, humanity had finally encountered its first alien civilization. Sensors are picking up artificial satellites and structures on the largest moon, Captain, reported Lieutenant Zhang, the science officer. Definitely signs of an advanced civilization. Alina nodded, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Any response to our hails? Communications Officer Adebayo's console lit up. Incoming transmission, Captain. Audio and visual. On screen, Alina ordered, straightening her uniform. The view screen flickered, revealing a being unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. The alien had iridescent, feather-like appendages framing a face with large, multifaceted eyes. Its body seemed to shimmer with an inner light. "Greetings, travelers." The alien spoke, its voice melodious and soothing. "I am Zephyr, first speaker of the Zephyrian confluence. We welcome you to our world." Alina took a deep breath, acutely aware that she was about to make history. "I am Captain Alina Reyes of the Earth ship Horizon. We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge." Zephyr's feathers rippled in what Alina hoped was a positive response. "Your journey must have been long, Captain Reyes. We would be honored to host you and your crew on Zephyria. Perhaps we can exchange stories and learn from one another." And so began humanity's first diplomatic mission with an alien species. Over the next few weeks, the crew of the Horizon experienced the wonders of Zephyrian culture. The aliens were a peaceful, highly advanced race with a deep connection to the natural world. Their cities seemed to grow organically from the landscape, powered by clean energy harnessed from their world's twin suns. Alina found herself frequently in the company of Zephyr, who was eager to learn about Earth and its inhabitants. They stood together in a crystal garden, marveling at flowers that sang soft melodies as they bloomed. "Your people have achieved so much, Zephyr," Alina said, gesturing to the harmonious blend of technology and nature around them. "Yet you seem surprised by some of our accomplishments." Zephyr's feathers shimmered thoughtfully. "We have indeed progressed far in sciences and arts, Alina. But your species, you fascinate us. You've overcome so many challenges in such a short time. The way you describe your history, full of conflicts and triumphs, is alien to us." Alina frowned slightly. "Have the Zephyrians never faced adversity?" "Oh, we have," Zephyr replied. "But never from within our own species. Our challenges came from our world itself, harsh climates, natural disasters. We learned to work in harmony with our environment. But we never developed the resilience that conflict seems to have given humanity." As they continued their cultural exchange, Alina began to understand the fundamental difference between their species. The Zephyrians had evolved as a cooperative species, never developing the competitive drive that had both hindered and propelled humanity's progress. Weeks turned into months, and the Horizon's crew prepared to return to Earth with news of their monumental discovery. But fate had other plans. It was during a farewell ceremony that the alert came. Lieutenant Zhang burst into the crystal hall, his face pale. "Captain, we're detecting multiple ships entering the system. They're not Zephyrian." Alina turned to Zephyr, whose feathers had flattened against their body in clear distress. "Zephyr, what's going on?" The alien's multifaceted eyes seemed to darken. "They have returned. The Cronus Empire." In the following hours, Alina learned of a threat that had long loomed over the peaceful Zephyrians. The Cronus Empire was an aggressive, expansionist civilization that had attempted to conquer Zephyria centuries ago. They had been repelled, not by Zephyrian might, but by the sheer distance between their worlds and the difficulty of maintaining supply lines. "But now they have returned," Zephyr explained, their voice trembling. "And we fear they have grown even stronger." Alina's mind raced. The Horizon was primarily a scientific vessel, but it was armed, a precaution born from humanity's long history of conflict. "Zephyr, we can help. We have weapons, tactics." Zephyr's feathers rippled in shock. "Violence? No, Elena. We cannot condone that. We will negotiate, find a peaceful solution. But as the Cronus ships entered orbit, it became clear that negotiation was not their intent. Energy weapons lanced down from the sky, targeting Zephyrian defense systems and communication arrays. Captain, John reported, his voice tight. The Cronus ships are launching dropships. Ground invasion imminent. Elena made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Lieutenant Adebayo, send a message to Earth. Inform them of the situation and request immediate military support. She turned to her security chief. Commander Volkov, prepare our security teams. We're going to help defend the Zephyrian capital. Zephyr watched in a mixture of awe and horror as the human crews sprang into action. Within minutes, shuttles were launching from the horizon, carrying armed personnel to key defensive positions around the Zephyrian capital. The Cronus forces, expecting little resistance from the peaceful Zephyrians, were unprepared for the fury of human combat. Elena led from the front, coordinating her small but effective force to repel the invaders at every turn. Zephyr found Elena in the midst of the battle, directing her troops with a calm efficiency that belied the chaos around them. Elena, I don't understand. How can your people switch so quickly from peaceful explorers to this? Elena paused, considering her words carefully as she reloaded her weapon. Zephyr, humans are complex. We strive for peace, but we're prepared for war. Our history has taught us that sometimes, to protect what we love, we must be willing to fight. The battle raged for days. The human forces, though outnumbered, used guerrilla tactics and their advanced technology to keep the Cronus invaders at bay. The Zephyrians, inspired by human bravery, began to assist in non-combat roles, providing logistical support and medical aid. It was on the 5th day of fighting that the tide turned. A fleet of Earth ships, responding to the horizon's distress call, arrived in the system. The Cronus Empire, faced with unexpected resistance on the ground and a formidable new enemy in space, was forced to retreat. In the aftermath of the battle, Elena stood with Zephyr, surveying the damage to the once pristine Zephyrian capital. The aliens' feathers were subdued, their inner light dimmed by the weight of recent events. I never imagined such violence could touch our world, Zephyr said softly. Yet, without it, we might have lost everything. Elena, your people are a paradox. You come in peace, yet you are so adept at war. Elena nodded, understanding the Zephyrians' confusion. It's a balance we've struggled with throughout our history, Zephyr. We've learned that true peace isn't just the absence of conflict. Sometimes, it must be protected. As cleanup efforts began, with humans and Zephyrians working side by side, Elena realized that this was just the beginning. Humanity had entered the galactic stage, not just as explorers or diplomats, but as protectors. The Zephyrians, shaken by the invasion, began to see the value in humanity's duality. They requested human assistance in developing defensive capabilities, and even asked for a permanent human presence on their world. As Elena prepared to return to Earth to report on these monumental events, she knew that the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity's role in the cosmos was evolving, shaped by the very qualities that had once threatened to tear their own world apart. The horizon broke orbit, leaving behind a changed Zephyria, and carrying with it the seeds of a new galactic order. As the blue-green planet receded in the view screen, Elena wondered what challenges awaited them in this vast, no longer empty universe. Little did she know that the events on Zephyria were just the beginning. The Peacekeeper's Paradox, humanity's unique ability to wage war in the name of peace, would soon be tested on a scale beyond imagination. The Cronus invasion. 6 months had passed since the failed Cronus attack on Zephyria. In that time, the galaxy had changed dramatically. News of humanity's intervention had spread rapidly, and Earth found itself thrust into the center of interstellar politics. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, a joint human-Zephyrian space station orbiting Zephyria. The station served as a symbol of the newfound alliance between the two species and as a first line of defense against future Cronus aggression. "Quite a view, isn't it, Captain?" Elena turned to see Admiral Hiroshi Tanaka, her new commanding officer, approach. The admiral's weathered face bore the signs of a long career in Earth's Space Force, but his eyes still sparkled with curiosity. "It never gets old, sir," Elena replied, gazing at the swirling blue-green sphere of Zephyria below. "Though I admit, I sometimes miss the simplicity of our first contact mission." Admiral Tanaka nodded thoughtfully. "The universe had other plans for us, it seems. Have you read the latest intelligence reports?" Elena's expression grew serious. "Yes, sir. The Cronus Empire is mobilizing again, and in greater numbers this time." "Indeed," Tanaka confirmed. "Our Zephyrian friends are understandably nervous. Their defensive capabilities have improved, thanks to our assistance, but there's still no match for a full-scale Cronus invasion." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the station. Elena and Tanaka rushed to the command center, where a holographic display showed a massive fleet emerging from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. "Cronus invasion force detected," announced Lieutenant Commander Yuki Sato, the station's tactical officer. "Readings indicate over 500 warships, including at least 50 dreadnoughts." Elena's heart raced. The human fleet stationed in the system was outnumbered at least 5-1. Status of the Zephyrian evacuation plans. "Underway, Captain," reported Communications Officer Luis Rodriguez, "but it will take time to move millions of civilians to the designated shelter zones." Admiral Tanaka's voice cut through the tension. "We need to buy that time. Captain Reyes, take command of our fast attack squadrons. Your mission is to slow down the Cronus advance by any means necessary." Elena snapped a salute. "Understood, Admiral. We'll make every second count." As Elena raced to her ship, the ES Artemis, she couldn't help but reflect on the irony of the situation. Humanity had come to this star system seeking peace and knowledge, only to find itself as the Galactic's reluctant warriors. The next few hours were a blur of frantic activity. Elena led her squadrons in hit-and-run attacks against the Cronus fleet, using the superior maneuverability of human ships to strike at vulnerable points before retreating. The tactic was effective in slowing the Cronus advance, but the cost was high. Elena watched helplessly as ship after ship in her squadron winked out of existence, overwhelmed by the sheer firepower of the Cronus dreadnoughts. On the planet below, Zephyr coordinated the evacuation efforts. The once peaceful species was learning the harsh realities of war, and Zephyr found themselves torn between gratitude for human assistance and horror at the violence unfolding in their skies. As the battle raged on, a new complication arose. Lieutenant Zhang, now serving as Elena's science officer on the Artemis, made a chilling discovery. "Captain," Zhang reported, his voice tight with concern, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from several Cronus ships. They appear to be charging some kind of superweapon." Elena's blood ran cold. "Target?" Zhang's face paled. "The planet itself, Captain. If those weapons fire, they could render large portions of Zephyria uninhabitable." In that moment, Elena made a decision that would once again alter the course of the war. "All squadrons, this is Captain Reyes. New primary objective. We must disable those superweapons at any cost. For Zephyria." The human fleet responded with a coordination and ferocity that took even the Cronus by surprise. Ships sacrificed themselves to create openings, allowing bombers to strike at the crucial weak points of the superweapon-equipped vessels. On the Cronus flagship, Supreme Commander Vox watched in disbelief as the human forces tore into his fleet with seemingly suicidal determination. "What manner of species are these?" he growled to his subordinates. "They fight like cornered beasts for a world that isn't even their own." The battle reached its climax as Elena's ship, heavily damaged and venting atmosphere, made a final run at the last operational superweapon. "All power to forward shields," she ordered. "We're going to ram it." The Artemis plowed into the Cronus vessel just as the superweapon began to charge. The resulting explosion temporarily blinded sensors across the battlefield. When the light faded, the Cronus fleet was in disarray. The loss of their superweapons and the unexpected ferocity of the human defense had shattered their morale. Supreme Commander Vox, realizing that victory was no longer certain and unwilling to risk total destruction, gave the order to retreat. As the Cronus fleet limped out of the system, the true cost of the battle became clear. Nearly half of the human fleet was destroyed or disabled. The space around Zephyria was littered with debris from both sides. On the planet's surface, Zephyr emerged from a shelter to survey the aftermath. The sky, once pristine, was scared with the remnants of the space battle. In the distance, a human shuttle was landing, likely bringing news from the front. Admiral Tanaka approached Zephyr, his uniform singed and his face weary. "The Cronus have been repelled," he reported. "Zephyria is safe, for now." Zephyr's feathers rippled with a complex mix of emotions. "At what cost, Admiral?" "So much destruction, so many lives lost." Tanaka nodded solemnly. "War is never without costs, Zephyr. But every life given today was given in defense of peace and freedom." As the dust settled, both humans and Zephyrians began to grapple with the new reality they faced. The Cronus threat remained, and it was clear that this was only the beginning of a larger conflict. Elena, having survived the destruction of the Artemis, found herself in a medical bay on Harmony Station. As she drifted in and out of consciousness, she overheard discussions about the battle's aftermath. "The Zephyrians are in shock," one voice said. "They've never experienced warfare on this scale." "Can you blame them?" another replied. "Hell, we've got centuries of military history, and even we were taken aback by the ferocity of this fight." Elena's thoughts turned to the future. The galaxy now knew of humanity's martial prowess, but at what cost? Would they be seen as protectors or as a dangerous, unpredictable species? As she finally slipped into a deep sleep, Elena's dreams were haunted by visions of battles yet to come and the weight of the responsibility that now rested on humanity's shoulders. In the days that followed, as reconstruction efforts began, a new galactic order started to take shape. The Zephyrians, realizing the need for a stronger defense, requested closer ties with Earth. Other alien species, hearing of the battle, began to reach out, some seeking protection, others wary of humanity's power. Admiral Tanaka, in a secure communication with Earth's leadership, summarized the situation. "We came to the stars seeking knowledge and peaceful coexistence. Instead, we find ourselves cast as the galaxy's warriors. It's a role we neither sought nor desired, but one we must now embrace for the sake of all peaceful species who cannot defend themselves." As the message was relayed across the vast distances to Earth, humanity stood at a crossroads. Their actions in the coming months and years would determine not only their own fate, but that of countless other species across the galaxy. The Peacekeeper's paradox was no longer a philosophical question. It had become the guiding principle of humanity's place in the cosmos. Aftermath and alliance. The Zephyrian sun rose over a changed landscape. Where once pristine cities had stretched to the horizon, now stood the skeletons of buildings, their crystal spires shattered by the recent conflict. Yet amidst the destruction, there was hope. Humans and Zephyrians worked side by side, clearing debris and beginning the long process of reconstruction. Captain Elena Reyes, now recovered from her injuries, stood before a mixed assembly of human and Zephyrian officials. The Grand Hall, once a place of artistic performances, had been converted into a command center for the rebuilding efforts. "The Cronus invasion has been repelled," Elena began, her voice carrying across the hushed room. "But we must prepare for their return. Our victory was hard-won, and we cannot afford to be caught unprepared again." Zephyr, their feathers still subdued from the trauma of recent events, spoke next. "We are grateful for humanity's intervention, but many of my people are struggling to reconcile the peace we have known with the violence we have witnessed. How can we move forward without losing ourselves? Admiral Tanaka stepped forward, his weathered face solemn. It is a question humanity has grappled with for millennia, Zephyr. We do not have all the answers, but we offer our experience and our commitment to protecting your way of life. The meeting continued for hours, discussing plans for a formal alliance between Earth and Zephyria. It was clear that the galaxy was changing, and both species would need to adapt. In the weeks that followed, a flurry of activity transformed Zephyria. Human engineers worked alongside Zephyrian artisans to design new cities that blended defensive capabilities with the organic beauty of Zephyrian architecture. Orbital defense platforms were constructed, their weapons systems a stark contrast to the peaceful satellites that had once circled the planet. Elena found herself in a new role, serving as a liaison between the human military forces and the Zephyrian population. It was a challenging position, bridging the gap between two vastly different cultures. One afternoon, she stood with Zephyr in one of the newly constructed urban centers. The building before them was a marvel of engineering, its sweeping lines and iridescent surfaces concealing reinforced walls and shield generators. "It's beautiful," Elena remarked, "but I can see the conflict in your eyes, Zephyr." The Zephyrian's feathers rippled in a sigh. "It is a testament to what our species can achieve together, Elena. Yet I cannot help but mourn for what we have lost. Our innocence, perhaps." Elena nodded thoughtfully. "Growth often comes at a cost. But remember, these defenses exist to protect your way of life, not to change it." As they walked through the city, they passed groups of young Zephyrians training with human instructors. Some were learning emergency medical techniques, others studying logistics and communications. None were being taught to fight by a compromise reached between human military advisors and Zephyrian leaders. "Your people adapt quickly," Zephyr observed. "I see them embracing aspects of our culture even as they teach us." Elena smiled. "Humanity has always been curious. It's what drove us to the stars in the first place. And now we have so much to learn from you." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from Admiral Tanaka. "Captain Reyes, please report to Harmony Station immediately. We've received a transmission you need to see." Hours later, Elena stood in the station's command center, watching a holographic message play out before her. The sender was an alien species neither human nor Zephyrian had encountered before. They called themselves the Arcadians, people of Earth and Zephyria. The Arcadian ambassador spoke, its insectoid features clicking with each word. "We have observed your recent conflict with the Cronus Empire. Your alliance intrigues us. We, too, have suffered at the hands of the Cronus, and we propose a meeting to discuss a wider coalition against this threat." The implications were staggering. Humanity and Zephyria were being invited onto an even larger galactic stage. Admiral Tanaka turned to Elena as the message ended. "Captain, I'm assigning you to lead our diplomatic mission to Arcadia. Your experience with First Contact and your actions during the Cronus invasion make you uniquely qualified." Elena felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "Understood, Admiral. When do we leave?" "As soon as we can assemble a joint human-Zephyrian delegation," Tanaka replied. "This could change everything, Captain. We need to get it right." The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation. Elena worked closely with Zephyr, who had been chosen to represent their people, to select a diverse team of diplomats, scientists, and cultural experts. As the delegation prepared to depart, Elena addressed her crew on the bridge of their new ship, the ES Concordia. "We stand at a crossroads," she began, looking at the mixture of human and Zephyrian faces before her. "What we do in the coming weeks could shape the future of the galaxy. We carry with us the hopes of 2 worlds and potentially many more. Let us move forward with courage, wisdom, and compassion." The Concordia broke orbit, its sleek form a testament to the combined technological prowess of humanity and Zephyria. As the stars stretched into streaks of light around them, Elena couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them to this point. They had come seeking knowledge and found war. They had forged an alliance born of necessity and tempered by shared sacrifice. Now they ventured forth again, carrying the promise of a wider peace. Yet even as hope blossomed, shadows loomed. The Cronus Empire was still out there, licking its wounds and undoubtedly planning its next move. And there were other questions that nagged at Alina's mind. How would other species react to humanity's martial prowess? Would they be seen as protectors or potential conquerors? The Arcadian homeworld appeared on the view screen, a rust-red planet orbited by glittering stations. As they approached, Alina straightened her uniform and shared a glance with Zephyr. "Ready?" she asked. Zephyr's feathers shimmered with determination. "As ready as we can be. Let us hope that the wisdom of your species and the empathy of mine will guide us true." The Concordia docked with the Arcadian diplomatic station, and Alina led her team to the airlock. As the doors hissed open, revealing the alien delegation waiting beyond, she took a deep breath. This was more than first contact. This was the birth of a galactic alliance, one that would need to balance the desire for peace with the necessity of defense. The peacekeeper's paradox was about to be tested on an interstellar scale. As Alina stepped forward to greet the Arcadian ambassador, she carried with her the hopes of Earth, the dreams of Zephyria, and the weight of a galaxy teetering between war and peace. The next chapter of their cosmic journey was about to begin. The diplomatic mission. The Arcadian diplomatic station hung in space like an elaborately woven web, its intricate architecture a testament to the artistic and engineering prowess of its insectoid creators. Captain Alina Reyes stood at the head of the human Zephyrian delegation, facing the semicircle of alien diplomats. The Arcadian ambassador, Sixtel, towered over the group, its multifaceted eyes reflecting the soft bioluminescence that lit the chamber. "We welcome you, representatives of Earth and Zephyria." Sixtel's mandibles clicked as it spoke, its words translated by advanced AI systems. "Your victory against the Cronus has given hope to many worlds. We are eager to discuss the possibility of a broader alliance." Alina stepped forward, her posture relaxed but alert. "We are honored by your invitation, Ambassador Sixtel. Earth and Zephyria stand ready to join forces with the Arcadians and any other species who seek peace and mutual protection." As Alina spoke, she couldn't help but notice the mixture of curiosity and wariness in the eyes of the other alien delegates. Humanity's reputation as fierce warriors had spread quickly through the galaxy, and it was clear that some species were unsure whether to view them as potential saviors or conquerors. Zephyr, sensing the undercurrent of tension, moved to stand beside Alina. Their iridescent feathers shimmered in a calming pattern. "We Zephyrians were once as you are now, wary of conflict, unsure of our place in a larger galaxy. But we have found in humanity not conquerors, but protectors. They fight so that others may know peace." The delegation spent the next several days in intense negotiations. Alina found herself constantly balancing between projecting strength to deter potential aggressors and emphasizing humanity's commitment to peace. It was a delicate dance, one that tested her diplomatic skills to their limits. During a brief recess, Alina stood with Zephyr in an observation lounge, gazing out at the star-studded void. "I never imagined I'd be negotiating the fate of multiple worlds when I first set out to explore the stars," she mused. Zephyr's feathers rippled in what Alina had come to recognize as a smile. "Few are prepared for the roles destiny thrusts upon them. Yet you adapt with remarkable flexibility. It is one of your species' greatest strengths." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from the Concordia. "Captain," Lieutenant Zheng's voice crackled over the comm. "We're detecting multiple ships dropping out of FTL at the edge of the system. Cronus signatures confirmed." Alina's blood ran cold. "How many?" "At least a dozen warships, Captain. They're on an intercept course with the station." The diplomatic chamber erupted into chaos as news of the Cronus arrival spread. Sixtel's normally smooth movements became agitated. "How did they find us? This location was supposed to be secure." Alina's mind raced, analyzing the situation. The station's defenses were substantial, but not designed to withstand a full-scale assault. Evacuation would take too long. They needed another solution. Ambassador Sixtal. Elena's voice cut through the panic. I need to know everything about this station's capabilities. Weapons, shields, anything we can use. The Arcadians seemed taken aback by Elena's directness. We have no weapons. This is a place of peace. Our shields are strong, but not impenetrable. Elena nodded, a plan already forming. What about communication systems? How powerful are they? Our quantum entanglement communicators can reach across half the galaxy. Sixtal replied, confusion evident in its voice. Perfect, Elena said, turning to her team. Lieutenant Rodriguez, I need you to work with the Arcadian technicians. We're going to send a message. As the Chromis fleet approached, Elena put her audacious plan into action. Using the station's powerful communicators, they broadcast a message on all frequencies, in every known language. Attention, Chronis Empire. This is Captain Elena Reyes of Earth. You are entering a protected system. This station is under the combined protection of Earth, Zephyria, Arcadia, and a dozen other worlds. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force. It was a bluff, of course. There was no fleet waiting to defend them. But Elena was counting on the Chronis' recent defeat and the element of surprise to sow doubt in their minds. Tense minutes passed as the Chronis ships continued their approach. Elena stood firm, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Beside her, Zephyr's feathers were pulled tight against their body, a sign of extreme stress. Just as it seemed the bluff had failed, the Chromis fleet suddenly altered course. Their ships peeled away, jumping back into FTL as quickly as they had arrived. A collective sigh of relief echoed through the station. Sixtal turned to Elena, its mandibles clicking rapidly in what she assumed was their version of astonishment. How did you know that would work? Elena allowed herself a small smile. I didn't, but I knew that the Chronis, like many bullies, prefer easy targets. By presenting a united front, we made them question whether the potential gain was worth the risk. In the aftermath of the averted crisis, the mood of the diplomatic talks shifted dramatically. Species that had been hesitant now clamored to join the alliance. Elena found herself at the center of a whirlwind of negotiations, her reputation as both a skilled diplomat and a cunning strategist growing by the hour. As the days wore on, a framework for a new galactic alliance began to take shape. It would be a coalition of diverse species, each bringing their unique strengths to the table. Earth and Zephyria, with their complementary abilities in warfare and peacekeeping, would form the core of the alliance's defensive arm. But challenges remained. Some species, particularly those with long histories of isolationism, remained skeptical of joining such a broad coalition. Others worried about the influence Earth might wield, given their military prowess. Elena worked tirelessly to address these concerns, often with Zephyr by her side. They emphasized that the alliance was not about dominance, but mutual protection and cultural exchange. Every world would have a voice, every species a role to play. As the final day of negotiations dawned, Elena stood before the assembled delegates to deliver a closing speech. The chamber was packed, with representatives from over 30 worlds in attendance. Friends, allies, fellow seekers of peace, she began, her voice carrying across the hushed room. We stand at a turning point in galactic history. The threats we face, the Chronis Empire, and others like them, are real. But so is our strength when we stand united. She paused, looking out at the sea of alien faces. Humanity has been called both peacekeeper and warrior. We have been viewed with hope and with fear. The truth is, we are all of these things and more. As are all of you, each of us carries the capacity for both creation and destruction. This alliance we forged today is not just about defense against external threats. It is a commitment to understanding one another, to bridging the gaps between our cultures, and to working together for a future where all our peoples can thrive. As Elena concluded her speech, the chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien cheers and gestures of approval. The Galactic Concordat, as it would come to be known, was ratified shortly after. Later, as Elena prepared to return to the Concordia, Zephyr approached her. "You have done something remarkable here, Elena. You have given the galaxy hope." Elena smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility more keenly than ever. "We've taken the first step, Zephyr, but the real work is just beginning." As the human Zephyrian delegation boarded their ship, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that while they had achieved a great diplomatic victory, greater challenges lay ahead. The Cronus Empire would not remain quiet for long, and there were vast swathes of the galaxy still unexplored, hiding who knew what threats or potential allies. The Concordia broke orbit, its course set for Earth to report on the momentous events that had transpired. As the stars streaked by outside her viewport, Elena reflected on how far they had come since that first contact with the Zephyrians. They had set out to explore the cosmos and had ended up reshaping it. The Peacekeeper's paradox had evolved. It was no longer just about humanity's dual nature as explorers and warriors. It now encompassed the delicate balance of power and responsibility that came with leading the Galactic Alliance. As Earth grew larger in the view screen, Elena steeled herself for the challenges ahead. The next chapter of their cosmic journey was about to begin, and the fate of not just 2 worlds, but an entire galaxy hung in the balance. A new galactic order. The Grand Assembly Hall of the newly constructed Galactic Concordat headquarters on Earth's moon was abuzz with activity. Representatives from over 100 alien species filled the chamber, their diverse forms a testament to the vastness and variety of life in the cosmos. At the center of it all stood Captain Elena Reyes, now Admiral Reyes, preparing to address the first official session of the Galactic Council. 5 years had passed since the formation of the Alliance, years filled with both triumphs and challenges. The Cronus Empire, faced with a united front of formerly isolated worlds, had been forced to the negotiating table. Today marked the signing of a historic peace treaty, one that would reshape the political landscape of the known galaxy. Elena took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the assembled delegates. She spotted Zephyr, their iridescent feathers now adorned with the insignia of the Zephyrian High Council. Beside them sat Sixtal, the Arcadian ambassador who had become a close ally and friend. Even a small delegation of Cronus representatives was present, their once hostile demeanor now tempered by a grudging respect. Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Concordat, Elena began, her voice carrying across the hushed chamber. Today, we mark not just the end of a conflict, but the beginning of a new era of cooperation and understanding. She gestured to the holographic display behind her, showing a map of the known galaxy with the territories of various species highlighted. 5 years ago, many of us were strangers, isolated by vast distances and mutual distrust. Today, we stand united, not just in the face of external threats, but in our shared vision for a peaceful and prosperous galaxy. The treaty they were about to sign was the culmination of years of delicate diplomacy. It established clear borders, trade agreements, and a framework for resolving future disputes. Most importantly, it included the Cronus Empire, bringing them into the fold of galactic civilization, rather than leaving them as an external threat. This treaty, Elena continued, is more than just words on a document. It is a promise to respect each other's sovereignty, to share knowledge and resources, and to stand together in the face of any threat that may arise from the unknown depths of space. As Elena spoke, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them to this point. The Peacekeeper's paradox, humanity's unique blend of peaceful exploration and martial prowess, had been both a challenge and a strength. It had allowed them to forge alliances, deter aggressors, and ultimately bring even former enemies to the negotiating table. But our work is far from over. Elena's voice took on a note of caution. As we celebrate this milestone, we must also look to the future. The galaxy is vast, and we have explored but a fraction of it. New challenges, new species, new wonders undoubtedly await us. She turned to address the Cronus delegation directly. To our former adversaries, now partners in peace, your strength and determination have earned our respect. We welcome you as equals in this new galactic order and look forward to the contributions your unique perspective will bring to our shared future. The Cronus representatives straightened in their seats, a mix of surprise and what Alina hoped was appreciation in their eyes. To all assembled here, Alina continued, sweeping her gaze across the chamber, I propose that we establish a new tradition. Let us create a joint exploratory fleet, crewed by members of all our species. This fleet will carry our message of peace and cooperation to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, seeking out new life and new civilizations. A murmur of excitement rippled through the assembly. The idea of a truly multi-species expedition into the unknown captured the imagination of even the most conservative delegates. This fleet, Alina said, her voice swelling with passion, will embody the very best of what we can achieve together. It will be a beacon of hope, a testament to our shared commitment to knowledge and peace, and should it encounter hostility, it will stand as a bulwark against aggression, demonstrating the strength of our unity. As Alina concluded her speech, the chamber erupted in a cacophony of cheers, applause, and various alien vocalizations of approval. One by one, representatives came forward to sign the treaty, each adding their unique signature or mark to the document that would shape the future of galactic civilization. Later, as the formal proceedings concluded and delegates mingled in the reception hall, Alina found a quiet moment with Zephyr and Sixtal. An impressive speech. Admiral, Sixtal clicked, its mandibles forming what Alina had learned was an Arcadian smile. You've come a long way from the captain who first visited our diplomatic station. Zephyr's feathers shimmered in agreement. Indeed, you've helped forge a path that none of us could have imagined when we first met, a path that honors both the warrior and the peacemaker in all of us. Alina smiled, feeling both pride and the weight of responsibility. We've all come a long way, but the real test lies ahead. Maintaining this peace, exploring the unknown, it will require constant vigilance and adaptation. As if on cue, the young ensign approached, tablet in hand. Admiral Rice, we've just received a transmission from the Outer Rim. An unknown signal, possibly artificial in origin. Alina exchanged glances with her alien friends, seeing her own mix of excitement and apprehension mirrored in their eyes. Well, she said, straightening her uniform, it seems the universe has perfect timing. Shall we see what new adventure awaits us? As they moved to investigate this latest mystery, Alina reflected on the journey that had brought them here. Humanity had ventured into the stars seeking knowledge and peaceful coexistence. They had found conflict and challenge, but also friendship and alliance beyond their wildest dreams. The peacekeeper's paradox had evolved. It was no longer just about humanity's dual nature, but about the delicate balance all sentient species must strike. Between exploration and caution, between strength and compassion, between honoring one's own culture and embracing the diversity of others. As Earth's moon rotated, bringing the blue marble of humanity's homeworld into view through the station's vast windows, Alina felt a surge of optimism. Whatever challenges the galaxy might hold, they would face them together. A united front of diverse species, each bringing their unique strengths to bear. The next chapter of their cosmic journey was about to begin, and this time, they were ready for anything the universe might throw their way.